Okay, I'm here with my friend Dennis, and this is part 3 of our interview with him. And where we left off, he had just decided to move to Negros Oriental. And so if you could take it up where you, say the day you landed here, you've been here for 3.5 years, so the day you landed here 3.5 years ago, tell me about that day.
Oh, wow. Well, the expat community online and whatnot say that Dumaguete is like the mecca for expats in the Philippines, and in some ways, I guess that's true. So I had to check it out, and stayed in Dumaguete at one of the hotels for a couple of weeks, and found a motorbike, which I still have. It's a little Yamaha 115, like a Mio Fino, so it's like a Scoopy, and got that, and it was just sort of exploring around a little bit. Wasn't really going very far or fast. And I had a girlfriend then that I'd met, and we were together for 3 weeks, and that was the last 3 weeks I was in Dumaguete.
Did you meet her before you got here, like online?
Yeah, we spent a little. Let me think about that. We met in Cebu.
Oh, you met
I
in
believe.
Cebu.
We met in Cebu City.
Okay.
And then I said, hey, I've heard that Dumaguete's a good place. Let's go to Dumaguete. She said, fine. So we came here, got in a hotel.
Okay.
And then found a lady who was selling this Yamaha scooter. She was a student who was returning to Korea, and it was a good bike, still is, and hooked up with that. And then I got the phone call, as I mentioned last time, about my mom.
Okay.
Having the broken leg and needing to return, so I flew back to the States, was there for a month. My mom
Well,
passed.
if you're literally here for days, you had to turn around and go back.
Yeah, I was here for just a few weeks, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
actually about that. And had to go. And left the motorcycle with the PD down in Dumaguete. They were very friendly, and they said, we'll store it for you. And
What's the PD?
police department.
Okay. Police
Yep.
department, okay.
Yep.
Wow,
It was
that's
part
nice
of the
them.
registration process. I just met the guys and
Yeah.
then explained the emergency situation, and people were listening to that.
Wow.
Having to get the motorcycle in my name normally takes several days, but I had like one day, and I just explained to people that I had to go see my mom, and so they made it happen, and that was really important. Thanks for asking, because now that I think about it, that was really an invitation. That was a real heartfelt connection with this area in particular, because the people listened, more than I'd been used to, and responded. They just went, and it didn't even feel like they were going out of their way. They just sort of did that. It was just part of what they do when they need to, when they're asked to do it. And that, I think, says a lot about my experience, in the Philippines.
I've run across the police a couple times here, just in things like roadblocks and stuff like that. But they've always been nice, and I had to get I had my motorcycle inspected, before I could, when I was transferring it in my name as well.
Right.
And they were very nice to me. Everybody I went to was very nice. Everything's slow as hell, it took forever, but
Right.
they were polite, helpful.
Yeah, helpful, not just respectful.
Yeah.
I mean, also, that says a lot. I mean, I really would like the audience to somehow get a sense of what we're talking about, because I think that's really the core. Isn't that what we're trying to do here? Partly is to convey an unusual experience that's really pleasant.
Right. So you come here. Now, what was your plan? Like, you're in the hotel. What if your mother hadn't gotten sick? What if? What was your plan then? Like, what were you going to do?
Wow. Because I wasn't feeling welcomed in California by my family.
Yeah.
That sibling rivalry I mentioned.
Yeah.
I was just really going day by day. I didn't have a plan. It was just
like me. I came here with no plan either.
It was kind of like, sorry, say that again.
I came here with no plan either.
Right, and it was kind of following what my friend Michael pointed out to me, that, hey, Dennis, if you come here, you'll be treated really well. You'll be welcome. You'll have a good time, in many ways. And I thought that was just something I would explore, see what would happen. But I think it was my mom's passing and then spending that month in California, and then more analyzing, now that I'd been to the Philippines and felt what was available
Oh.
in a short time, that maybe the Philippines, like as I mentioned, maybe it did have a relationship available for my heart that would be like the one.
Yeah. Well, speaking of relationships, what happened to the girl while you were in California? Where'd she go? What'd she do?
She claimed that she was pregnant, and that's
Ooh,
well,
by you?
she may have been, yeah, but it wasn't by me because I have a vasectomy, as I may have mentioned before.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, you know, she's just
Scamming you.
Yeah. So
So that ended.
that was the end of that.
So that ended before you even came back, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you come back here.
So while I'm in California,
Yeah.
I was living in the mountains in a cabin that my family owns,
Yeah.
and I still own a bit of. And I was online, and I met another gal who answered an ad that I put out that was pretty honest. I mean, I was actually pretty specific about what I wanted in a woman, and you're probably thinking about asking me what specific that was, and let's handle that question later.
Well, whatever you're comfortable with.
But it
doesn't
was
matter.
something specific.
Yeah.
And she answered back, I am that one.
Okay.
And I said, okay, tell me your experiences that help me understand that you are. And she said, no, you just come to Surigao, and I'll show you. Surigao's at the northeast corner of Mindanao.
Okay.
And so I agreed to do that. So when I did come back after a month and my mom's passing and all, I took the scooter on the ferry to Surigao. Met her. She was just a great young lady, and we got along pretty well. And spent a month there. Met her family and explored around the island a little bit. And then I said, I'd like to get back to Dumaguete. I think it's a good spot to at least go to and explore from there, because you haven't been there.
Right.
And she said, yeah, okay. So we got back on we came back here, and within a couple of days, we arrived in Valencia and happened to find this place. And maybe later we'll do a video of what this place really looks like. And I'm still here after 3.5 years.
Wow.
And this waterfall behind me wasn't here. A lot of the plants weren't here. The house, well, let me get specific, I suppose.
Go ahead.
The asking price for the lease, for the 6-month lease, was 12,000 pesos. That's about $240 a month. And it was pretty plain. There weren't many plants and whatnot. The water system was very basic, as in just a little 1/2-inch pipe at the end of sharing a whole bunch of other houses on this one line. And after about a year, the water service got so unreliable that you could only run one faucet at a time, if that. Sometimes it was no water at all.
Yeah, that's the one negative thing I found about living here in Valencia.
Right. So I noticed that some other people had put in water tanks and water pumps, and I asked the landlord, look, I'll pay you extra per month if you'll put in a water system. And they said, no, don't do that. They said, you put the water system in, take it directly off the rent, and we won't raise the rent. So the water system, which is a tank and a pump and a pressure tank, was 36,000 pesos. So whatever that is, $720.
Yeah.
And it created the ability to have a garden, to have plants that I could reliably water.
Now you get a water bill every month, or how does it work?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, it is a water bill, and my normal water bill is 30 pesos per month.
Wow.
Right. Wow. So that's 60 cents.
Wow.
Right. And the highest bill I've ever had was 35 pesos a month. So that there is a meter, and the screen gets clogged sometimes. So if it's like water's not coming in well, I'll just go out there and clean the screen.
And we're getting hosed at where I'm living now, and charges 200 pesos a month.
Hosed. I mean, 200. Oh, that's so much, right?
Yeah.
Compared to mine.
Yeah.
But it's
All $4.
right.
I should sue.
And the electricity here, I have two aircon, one in each bedroom, but we hardly ever use it. And so my aircon, and a refrigerator, and a washing machine. So it's 1,200 pesos, what's that, $24 a month.
Yeah.
And I had internet from PLDT for a while, and their service started out okay, and then it got weaker and weaker and weaker, and I finally disconnected from that. So now I'm using data. So anybody who's interested in, there's what, Smart and Globe is the two big guys.
Yeah.
And then I just buy data from, I buy packages. So I, put 100 pesos, convert that to a package, which gives me like 2 gigabytes per week for $2.
Yeah, I saw the one down at Robinson's where you get the little box and everything. It's 1,000 pesos for that, and then you pay so much, I guess, a month to top it up. And I guess I'm not sure if it's wireless or not, but
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that's what do they call that? Pocket Wi-Fi?
Yeah, but it's Globe also, I believe. There was a big one and a small one. I don't know what the difference
I
was
don't know
between
about
the two.
Yeah, the small one. I have one of those, and it sort of works. So we strung it up in a tree on a pulley, and it's worked for a while, and I haven't used it since. I had a phone that I bought in Indonesia 6 years ago, a Samsung Note 2, and finally the signal receptibility was really getting bad. I thought, well, it's just a bad signal. But recently I just bought a new Samsung A30, and it's 4G, a lot stronger reception for, I don't know why, but new phones apparently work much better.
Yeah.
In that way.
I bought one myself, which I'm using to video you with.
Right. So yeah,
what happens to this girl?
After a couple months, because I was so honest with my, I was real open about what I wanted in a woman, which was different than what she actually turned out to be, and it's a little bit socially unaccepted in this environment, and so the chismis, the gossip, started beating up on her. She was hearing from friends that I was a bad guy, and it just didn't work. I mean, she just like, I just can't live like that. So
how long did that last?
2 more months.
Okay.
So we were here for 3 months, or together for 3 months, and we still communicate.
Yeah.
So
so then what happened after that? I mean, did you meet somebody right away, or did you go looking, or?
Yeah, it kind of happens that way, I guess. It's a combination of things just happen and looking a little bit. And that's a whole subject, right?
Yeah.
How the women here are attracted to, and why they're attracted to the older guys, and there's a whole, as you myriad of reasons.
Yeah.
I think part of, there's what we could talk about, the financial security, which is an obvious one in some ways for sure, and then there's the sense that, well, these guys are older, they're not going to want to play around as much. So,
that's what I hear the most. That's what I hear the most. We're not going to trade them in for someone younger or prettier. Once you find one you like, a lot of the guys, most of us, hopefully, stick with them, until we pass on.
Right. Yeah, and then there's the whole cheating thing goes away, the lying thing disappears. Yeah. And life becomes magical.
And I guess a lot of us, of the men, treat women well. Like they're not used to being treated the way we do, like gentlemen.
Seems like, huh?
And they're not used to that. And they like that a lot.
Yeah. I can agree with that from what I've heard.
So I guess that's why.
It's kind of rare when
whatever it is, it's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It has been wonderful. It would break my heart to have to leave.
Yeah. So, when did you meet the next girl?
It was within a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I think someone contacted me, hey, do you want your house cleaned, your yard cleaned? And that lady was a companion for a while, but not long, and she wasn't able to spend the night, and so I suspected that there was other things happening in her life that she wasn't telling me about. And that turned out to be true, and so I've shared relationships with several Filipinas while I've been here.
And now you're in
I'm in a 2.5-year relationship.
That's good.
Which
lasted while you traveled outside the country, right? You left for a while and came back to Nepal.
Yeah. She and her 2 children stayed in my house, and
she has children.
She does.
Okay.
She has a 21-year-old daughter who's painted the interior of my house and part of the exterior, and who's a real artist. Her name is Queenie, and if there's ever an opportunity to show some of her for work. That'd be great.
Yeah.
She's working now a little bit as a painter. And then a 14-year-old son. Yeah. Pretty
Now, do you
cool.
have any? Do the children have any react or interaction with their father?
Some.
No, that's,
Some. He's in Dipolog, which is northern Mindanao.
is he Filipino? Okay.
So she's been separated from him for about 5 years.
Okay, here in the Philippines, why don't you go into a little bit about separation and divorce and how that works in this country? Because it's not like America where you can just get a divorce, you know, and
Right.
go your separate ways. It's like,
Right.
you know, I think the only group where when you're married, you're more married is if, I used to live in Utah as the Mormons. Like when you marry a Mormon, you're married for eternity. Even when you die, they're waiting for you on the other side, which can scare the hell out of you. But so here
More than a life sentence.
yeah, more than a life sentence. So here in the Philippines, it ain't that easy to get a divorce, is it?
I don't think I've met anybody who's had a
Yeah,
divorce.
I've heard of annulments, I guess.
Yeah,
which
they
can
have
be
annulments,
quite
but
pricey.
I'm trying to think of who I've met that's had an annulment successfully, but there's probably been one or two. So yeah, it doesn't happen. It's very expensive for them, and it takes a long time for an annulment. And divorces, are still illegal?
Well, it's
still-
actually illegal.
Still not legal? I guess not legal.
Yeah,
right?
not legal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that adultery is a crime here, where if someone wants to get you and say you're with this girl you're with now, and they want to, you know, cause you problems, they could turn you into the police and say, you know, he's an adulterer with someone who's married. I mean, is that actually a crime here? I've heard it was. I don't think it's really prosecuted, but I think it's one of those crimes that's on the books.
Yeah, I think I've heard that too.
Yeah.
And I've heard that some guys have had to have written agreements with their girlfriends and their separated husbands before they purchase land in that woman's name, for instance.
Oh.
Yeah, they had to have some kind of clarity. And I've heard that people have not gone through that written agreement process and then had problems.
So tell me about your friends here. Like I know for myself, where I was living before, because I was a single man living in an upper middle class neighborhood of families, married families, I didn't have any friends at all. You know, because the neighbors would, you know, say hi to me and stuff, but they didn't invite me over for dinner if they had a party, or, you know, I was just kind of like on my own for 15 years. 15 years. And I came here and I'm making friends left and right. Guys my age, which is really, you know, it's really nice to be able to sit down and talk to, you know, people like you and people like our friend Paul, and you know, other guys have done interesting things, have had interesting lives, and everybody's come here for a different reason. And we've got friends now, you know, and it's really nice, you know.
It really is. And I've had a few of my acquaintances who become friends unfriend me because, because some of the things that I think a lot of it had to do with the COVID virus, actually, just recently, because we were so opinionated about what was safe and what was real. And those opinions differed. And so it felt like we had to distance ourselves from each other. Aside from that, though, I'd like to say that it's been incredible to meet people. The name Harley Jones comes to mind. He may see this in the future. I've met some of Mike, who rented this house 5 years before I did, who were Vietnam vets. And in the States, I didn't have a chance to meet Vietnam vets who I thought were not severely affected. Double negative, right? Sorry about that. So coming here and meeting these two guys in particular, these are men who had seen a lot of action and situations, and they've been able to put it together somehow. And
well, speaking of Vietnam, not to go back in time, how old are you now?
66.
You're 66.
So I was 72. I was just out of high school.
The war was still going on.
Yeah, I had a draft number, I think.
Yeah,
but it ended before. Yeah.
Well, it ended in '75. I graduated in '74, and I had a draft card too. And basically, the war was over the year after I graduated. And the weird thing about the draft, of course, if you remember, they drafted by birthday. So everybody born on July 15th was drafted, like a lottery, and they all went to basic training together. If you believe in astrology at all, that's a really bad idea, to put together a company of men who are all exactly the same if you believe in
I
astrology.
did not know this. Yeah, right.
And so they have all the same flaws and weaknesses. But yeah, it was a weird thing. But
Well, I never heard of that.
Only good thing about the draft card, they're very easy to change the date on them. You could scratch it off and take some white out and typewriter and get into bars with them. I used to get into bars with a library card and a draft card. And neither one of them had a picture on it. Anyway, going back. So
Well,
you're
So let's-
friends. Going back here to friends.
yeah, some very interesting people, because I discovered, as the name of your channel is, Every Man Has a Story,
Yeah.
that for like the first time I was able to have time as a retired person to listen, ask questions, and they had time to share. And so we had this combination. See, when I was traveling, when you travel and you meet travelers, you say what you want to say really briefly, really quickly, because you don't have much time. You have an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just, but here, sitting around the red table area or, over food or whatever, we had time. We had hours. And we could just settle in and share and listen and feel and then meet again and meet again. And Harley introduced me to off-road motorcycling here. Thanks, Harley. It was just a gift, and he was such a passionate person. He loved being off-road, and he loved being alone. He didn't like hanging around a lot of people. He's like that.
Let's talk about the red table. People wonder what the red table is, and that's something I discovered when I first got here too. And it's literally like a red tables. And tell a little bit about that and how, because I've met a lot of people there too.
You do.
Yeah.
And when I was here, I was really new.
Yeah.
And so I was open to a lot of stuff, and I don't drink much. Not much, but that's the drinking spot. That's the watering hole.
Can you wait a second, my drink here?
Sure. But so I meet a lot of people there, and I don't smoke, so that's happening there too. So over time, a lot of the people that I have met, we're still friends, and some are not. And I don't frequent it very much now.
I don't either.
And I think if you were to, well, I'll just ask what you might be, or answer what you might be thinking to ask, which is why not, is because I've come to see, for me, that this might bite my ass, but I'll say it, that often, as I found, the people who go to the places like the red table or they go there to drink, and alcohol and complaining seem to be bed buddies.
It's really funny you should say that, because that's my exact impression as well.
Stop! We're both gonna get in trouble.
But it was just, a lot of negativity.
More than I could deal with it for a while, like a lot of people I've met. But
we're in the Philippines. This is a third world country. It's a developing country, and things are the way they are. And if you want to complain about it, there's lots of other countries you can go to. And it's not fair to say, well, if we were in America, it wouldn't take me so long to check out the store. They'd have an electronic cash register, and they wouldn't have to do it with a piece of paper and a cardboard and a calculator. Or they'd have change when I go buy something, and that's not the way it is.
There's a lot you could complain about, and people do. And I think after you hear that kind of thing time and time again, I went from just listening to defending the Filipinas.
Well, I found there were a lot of those people who have been there for a long time too. Do you remember that? They seem to be like people who've been there for a very long time, and they've kind of soured on everything.
Oh, yeah. That hurts.
Yeah.
To watch a person who still has life, right?
Yeah.
Who still has the opportunity to see and appreciate this, to sour.
Yeah.
That's painful, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out. That's one of the reasons why I don't, because when I see people in that depressed state, I've kind of learned there's not much I can do.
Or they're in a lot of them other ones I found, they're in a routine where every Thursday, Friday night, Saturday night. They go there at 6 o'clock and they sit down in the exact same chair. They got the same chair, and they're smoking or drinking and whatever, and they'll be there for hours, and they do the same thing every night. So they're not really going to see the waterfall of Casa Aurora. They're not going on walks. They're not checking out the other 6,999 islands that are out there. They're not meeting anybody else but that little group of people. And it narrows your whole experience down to nothing, you know, and yeah, you can start seeing things darker then.
Yeah. As Harley would say, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just doesn't float mine or yours. So here we are.
I found myself meeting people. We stand out like a sore thumb, obviously. You know, we're both big guys. You know, you walk around and like go to the I like the Sunday market. I'm so glad it's open again. It was open.
I've heard.
Yeah. And you walk around there, and I found guys say hello to me just because obviously I'm an expat, I'm a foreigner, and they want to find out your stories. I met friends there. As a matter of fact, I met the guy who's, I'm moving into a new apartment on July 1st, and Thomas, who's building it, I met him one day like 9 months ago, just started talking to him, and I was talking about ships, and he was talking about how he built a catamaran in his backyard in Germany. Him and his wife sailed it all over the world, and now they're here building a big apartment complex. And
is this the guy you're moving in?
Yeah.
Oh
and
I want to hear his
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I really want to meet him.
But just a person I met by casual.
Just
Yeah, at the market.
And what you're saying is like common.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing I really like about this place. I mean, life is just generally full of surprises, right? In that sense. Here it seems like it's magnified.
Yeah.
People are more friendly. The expats, those who are friendly, which most of are.
Yeah.
They're just, hey, here we are. Let's meet. You know. Yeah.
It's like I remember back in the States before I left here, like maybe once a month you'd have a good day. You know, where everything kind of went nice, and nice weather, and nothing went wrong, no bad news in the mail, no bad phone calls. You know, everything just kind of went okay. There was no problems, and it was a good day. And here, I wake up, and it's like, I assume it's going to be I expect it to be a good day, and sometimes it's a great day. But I just assume every day when I wake up, it's going to be, I'm not expecting anything bad to happen today. I'm not expecting anything negative to happen. It's just, I assume every day is going to be great, because it usually is. How about you?
Yeah, I've never had to talk myself into getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Something just crossed my mind I want to share. A couple of hours ago, I was heading down to Dumaguete, and I drive kind of fast, and I know that. And I was just telling one of my friends that one day I'm going to meet somebody who drives as poorly as I do, and we're going to have a problem. I mean, not, like an accident, right? So about halfway down the hill, I'm in my lane, but I'm passing, one of those tricycles, but I'm still in my lane, and there's a group of motorcycles on the other lane coming up the hill, and as I'm at my extension out on the side, this guy on a motorcycle just pops out from, I didn't see him at all. And now he's in my lane, coming really close, and parts of our bikes actually touched each other.
Wow.
We actually just slightly clipped each other, and I posted that on Facebook an hour ago. So, right, slow down.
We're going to pause it right here because we're into 30 minutes, and then I want to ask you something that has to do about riding motorcycles.
Okay.